Hello, this is Lisa Rusczyk with the podcast We Are All Psychic. Today, I still think we're all psychic. And if you're wondering why I'm playing with my little baby blanket, it's because you read the title. You're not wondering, actually. You're just like, she's doing inner child stuff. That must be her boo boo or bum bum or papa. It was just my blanket. It never had a name. I think I might have called it Blanky because I thought it was cute. But I've had this since I was born, and I used to love to play with it. And so I got a bunch of little things out that reminded me of when I was a child for this podcast. And I'm going to tell you about what it means if you don't know, or if you do, from my point of view, as understanding it, what it means in our field or in the spiritual community or in this kind of work to heal the inner child. Um, the best way to summarize that in a short sentence, other than to heal the inner child, is to say, look back at our childhood. For me in particular, I'll look back at my youth, which would I think of as probably, baby to probably around 16, 17. That's what I think of, 17 or 18. Probably 17, because when my cousin died when I was 17, that kind of made me grow up in a way that I wasn't ready for. I guess no one's really ready for that. So, inner child healing is about going back in there and finding where you might have either really truly been hurt or been mistaken about what other people's intentions were about their teaching you how to do life. You know what I'm saying? So when I said, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to block people walking behind me if you're not watching, listeners. It's a podcast. This podcast is a video podcast on Spotify and YouTube. So guys, inner child healing. You are doing that. You're going into your past and your memories and finding things can be very uncomfortable. It can be really great. And it's really great to do with a healer. So I'll get to that. But in my case, like I would sit down and think about a time maybe in my life. Let's say we'll give you an example of when my cousin died when I was 17. Well, I was close with him when we were kids. All the cousins were really close growing up in my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family. We spent a lot of time with our cousins growing up. And I was the youngest, so I spent a lot of time. And I'm going to show you this picture. This is a picture of me and my cousin Andrew and my first beloved. I had one other cat named Cloudy and another cat named Pumpkin. But this was my beloved first real cognizant, I know what you are, I know what we're doing cat, Buttercup with Andrew, and that's me. So I'm going to talk about healing the inner child for an example and what's the benefit of it with this particular cousin. He died when I was 17 and he was murdered. The details don't matter. They caught the person who did it. And I think I've mentioned on the podcast before that my first mediumship experience was right before I got the news that he had passed away on the phone. I've talked about that. I want to talk about that right now, though. I want to talk about after what happened when I got that phone call and had to live in the reality that my cousin was murdered. You know, that there's people in the world who just random stranger murdered him. You know, it's like crazy stuff. He thought he was a friend, picked him up in a bar with his other friends one night, that kind of thing. You know, it's just you never know. And this picture, so when I found this picture, for example, after that happened, when I was in my 20s, it made me really sad. And it made me just, I want to think about it. I want to think about it. So there, I'm going to pause with my story about my cousin Andrew. And my healing my inner child wound, I would say, maybe, if you want to work with the terminology there, I would be healing an inner child wound of believing somehow everyone is really inherently good. No matter what, there's really not a murderer in the world at that age. At this age, there definitely wasn't a murderer in my life or anywhere in my life, in my future, anything. I didn't think that was real, really. I mean, I was afraid of everything, but I was more afraid of like elevators. I wasn't afraid of people usually not. But if I was, I stayed away from them. I wasn't tricked. And I do look back a lot at my early childhood memories all the way up till maybe around 14 is when I start losing them. And I've talked to other people. Most people say they don't really remember their early childhood very well. And that's why I stopped where I stopped with discussing healing the inner child. Because I had to look back at this time in my life. Did I remember this picture when it was taken? I do, actually, because I remember getting this cat Buttercup and Andrew had just named her. Buttercup in the kitchen. And my mom took this picture, I think. I can't remember who took the picture, but I could have been, no, I think it's my mom. And that we had just named her because you can see I'm so excited we had just named her. I'm like, yeah, we named her Buttercup, but she's all ew. So what am I wearing? It looks like I'm wearing like a pillowcase. So I looked back at this time and I remember that day and I remember the room. I remember how everything looked. It was like really cool. And I had to think about what was going on in my life. I was in fourth grade. I couldn't make friends very easily because I didn't understand the accent in Alabama. I had just moved from Chattanooga, Tennessee, but if you don't know, in the United States, in the southern part where I live now, Nashville, and where I lived before when I was doing the podcast in Alabama, most people have very thick accents, a very thick southern accent. If you heard Misty on the show before when she was my co-host, she had a southern accent. There are kind of different dialects of southern accents, anyway, it's not important, but in Alabama, they were really thick when we moved there, and I could not understand people. When my teacher asked me, "Do you not have your math book?" I was like, "Do I not have my? Do I not? Do I do not have not?" She did some kind of double negative thing that the Southerners do. You guys heard that before. Do you not know what you're talking about? I'm mimicking there, but it's like the double negative. Do you not know? Do you not something, or do you not? I can't remember exactly how it goes, but she had said something like that to me, and it really confused me. I started crying because, first of all, I couldn't understand her what she was saying at all, and she kept talking, and finally understood her say math book. So math book. She had a really no, it's not like that. It can't. She had that really thick, sweet Southern accent, not the twangy kind. It was a really beautiful accent. So it was real soft like this. So it was very hard to understand coming from Chattanooga. And Chattanooga at that time, I believe that I had been, my family, we had been mainly around people from the north because they were Navy friends, some of them. Some of them were neighborhood friends, but they all pretty much had roots in the north and Catholicism in the north and stuff like that, Northeast. So I'm going on about my childhood because I remember it. So many people will not remember their childhood. I'm giving you little pictures of my childhood as I talk. But so I go back to this time, and I just moved to Decatur, Alabama, and I just got this cat. I couldn't really communicate. Andrew was a cousin. He was closer with my sibling than me, but when we were alone, we got along great. And older in life, we were closer. But he was the one who taught me the first chord on a guitar and how to play Free Fallin'. I'd never played it. I played piano, but I'd never played a guitar. And my grandparents had always vacationed in Marco Island in Florida near Naples. And that's where he taught me how to play free fall. And I just kind of piddled around on it. And I could play. He's like, you've got a good ear. He said you should try it sometime. And I did inherit his guitar. And that's why I play music right now. And I mean, I have all my life because of it, that experience. So going back to that and trying to heal the wound around like this man's going to be in my life forever and what happened to him and look at it and I have to. I don't have to. I don't even have to remember it. I don't have to do any of this. What's the point? Let me get to that. So the point is to not hurt around that anymore and not carry it subconsciously because it is there. It's always been there. It's always there, especially when we're young. That's our first impression of anything. And the misunderstandings, I think, are worse sometimes to work through than outright mistreatment. I wouldn't say worse. It's a different kind of working through than mistreatment. Misunderstanding, like for me, as an example of misunderstanding, is that, I thought Andrew was my brother's cousin's, my brother's friend cousin and not mine, but he was really both of ours. So that was a misunderstanding I carried, right? I was never said that, Andrew belonged to Richard as a cousin friend. It's not like that. But I had just like made that assumption because I was young and I didn't know what social things were yet. I didn't know what it meant. It's like they're always together and they're always hanging out. We called them Richard and Andrew. They were one word, and that kind of thing. So what I ended up doing about that, well, my technique is a little different, but I would say I'll teach because I'm a medium. So I worked with speaking with him and he helped me understand communicating with the spirits. And when Sam came around, he helped me understand Sam. And then Sam pretty much came in. I didn't talk to Andrew much because I didn't think I could. And then when I realized I could, that's it was a different kind of thing. Like right now, I can ask him if he wants to come in. Let's see. Yeah, he's around. He doesn't want to show himself to me. Oh, there he is. Hey. So it's cool. That's kind of how I handled it. But a lot of it was really weird way to handle it because I had to ask him and try to understand what he was saying, things I wanted to know. Ooh, block out the neighbors, listeners, and watchers if you're wondering why I'm doing jazz hands. Andrew was a great cousin, and I loved my family very much when I was younger. I spent most of my time with the family. Of course, that time I couldn't really communicate with anybody, so my family was the most important thing. Going back after he died, I probably started healing that wound with Andrew in my 20s by talking to his sister. And that was when she visited me in Phoenix, and we talked a lot about it. And I did mediumship for her regarding him, and that helped me a lot. And I didn't do this with her, but when I was doing the mediumship, I don't remember anything about what he said to her through me. I didn't channel him, but he did have messages, and I don't know if I got them right or anything. Maybe she'll remember. But for me, going back into healing that was really just making peace with the murderer, the idea that he existed, um, that this person existed that could do something like that to anyone, but especially Andrew, because he was so good. He was like the greatest person, so sweet and gentle and nice and thoughtful and really talented and just like a really cool guy, fun, made everyone get along to make. He just kind of naturally had people get along, That's cool. And I admired him a lot. Um, so the point was, I can talk about it now, and I'm not crying, I'm not upset, and I do like to remember Andrew's time in life. It was a good time. He was a great cousin, and I don't feel like the ache or the damage that it caused at that time anymore because I spent probably several years in reflection of every little memory I could grab of him from my childhood. Now, this is something I think is the reason I remember my early childhood very well. Two reasons, actually. I wrote in diaries pretty much all the time, but not until I was in fourth grade. So all that other stuff I just remembered because I ran it through my memory a lot. But my diaries, I'm obsessed about what happened. Not in a weird way. I just thought about it. I'm a thinker. I'm an obsessive thinker. Anyway, I have to be thinking about something or I'm bored. So I think I would just remember stuff when I was little because I didn't have much information. So I just remembered yesterday and the day before, or big things or little things, details. And many people don't remember their childhood and they may think there's something wrong there. There might not be. You may just not remember because it wasn't, you haven't spent so much time. But I wrote journals and I reread them constantly. So these memories were embedded in my brain. Every time I wrote a diary entry, I'd go back like 3 weeks and start reading. It's kind of how I edit books now. And if I had been writing fiction, I'll write like 5,000 words and then go back about 15,000 words and start going and edit while I go until I catch back up. And so I repeated it all in my memory. And they say that the way we remember stuff is by, running it through our brains a lot and it makes stronger neurons make stronger binds. So however, I don't know if memory works, but they say that's how they do. You can go read about it, how they say it do. They say it does. Um, it really helped me be able to talk to people about their problems about around anything like this if they lost someone they loved, especially to murder, because it's really a hard thing to think about and get through, especially when you're young too. Anytime, there's never a good time. It's never good. It's you know what I'm saying. It sucks. It always sucks. It always sucks. There's never a time that doesn't suck. So, and it's like a word that, suck. I mean, it carries so much, but it's the way you say it, man, right? So you might, if you're a regular watcher, have seen my little stuffed animals in my background, right? And so I usually have these guys on my couch. This is Lilith. Some friends gave me this as an adult in my 30s. Megan and Jay, thank you guys. I love Lilith. I still have her. I love Lilith. And Jay had just drawn something, and his wife was a seamstress, and she used to make these stuffed animals where they were all real like cats and dogs and mice, cat toys sometimes, stuff like that. And he designed this and she made it for him, and they actually gave it to me because I loved it. They thought it was ugly, but I think she's awesome. They named her Lilith. Isn't she just the cutest thing? I mean, she's just like a dress, and like, oh my gosh. So this is like bringing out the inner child for us, part of what you can do. I'm giving you examples now of what you can do to start healing inner child. You can play with your toys again. I know that sounds so weird. Had an aversion to playing with my toys for a long time, but my second husband got me to bust them out, and I was really happy he did. Now these are adult toys, but they made me feel like a kid as an adult, and they still do. So this guy is a Tonberry from Final Fantasy 11. And he was a bad guy. He walked real slow, and he would just go whoop, whoop, and you go get him. You go boop, boop, with your carbuncle. That's what I did. And my carbuncle, well, I don't think he's in here. I have a little glow in the dark carbuncle up there, glowing carbuncle up there. Anyway, so this is something you can do, is like play with your toys. Now, so I'm doing right now. You can see, like, if you're, well, there goes my phone. I meant to mute you. Oh my gosh. So what you can do is like this guy. I think his name was Appleseed, and he's a Briar horse, and I have kept him forever because he has a hat. I love this guy. He's got a hat, and he can go this way too. His ear is a little chipped. He's all beat up, but I love this guy. And I had a couple more put away, but they're barely broken. But this guy, pretty much, his paws are red. Is still on. His gloves, I mean, are still on, and he was a favorite. And I felt so sorry for him because he had nothing fabulous going on except the hat. Most of them were these great stallions or these beautiful mares doing poses, and he's just like, "Hey, what up, guys?" Loved him, loved him. I still love him. See, there goes his hat, and I have not lost it yet. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. I might lose it. And if you play and you want to do this, you want to, you do. And if you don't do that, then your little inner child might want to be like, "Hey, man, I'm a finger with a hat. I'm going to talk to this finger. You don't have a hat. You suck. Suck's a loaded word, dude." Okay. So that was my Appaloosa there, and then I had a big thing for Lady and the Tramp. So I had the Lady and the Tramp, and I had gone to Disney World with my family, my cousins, Andrew, and my other cousins in my family. My mom went, my grandparents took us, and I got these two, and I got Scotty and the what's his name? Oh, the other one, the Basset Hound. I can't remember his name, or the not the Basset Hound. Was he a Basset Hound? I think he was a Basset Hound. He was a hound dog. So these are like Lady and Tramp, and they fit together like okay, see if we put them together. That's how I always put them together. That's important. How they stand together. Like, oh, they love each other. I really liked romance, and I loved glass animals of all sizes and type. But I really like the miniature ones. I still have a ton of those all over the place. They just kind of appear. See how excited I'm getting? This is like bringing out some really happy stuff in me. And then, like, this is probably one of my favorite things as kids was rocks. So I brought a couple of rocks. And my other one of my favorite things, not rock cats, but I brought this to remind me to talk about how much I loved cats when I was a kid, because that's going to make me happier than other than one thing. I'll get there. But cats, oh my gosh, I loved cats. And I just, every time I saw a cat, I would be the happiest person, little child in the world. I have to remember. You can hear me I'm talking faster. I'm getting excited. Like, this is really genuine, guys. Like, I feel this. I feel this stuff so much. It's like my childhood stuff. So now I'm going to do something. This was my first musical instrument. This is a kazoo. My grandfather had one. I got this one for New Year's this year in a big bag of kazoos. And I like red, so I kept the red one, and it still works. Would you like to, since it's my longest standing instrument, I'd love to give you a demonstration if I can get all the candle wax off of it. So that was my first musical instrument, and we played more like we did it every New Year's. We played with our kazoos all the time because he had his kazoo. He let us get his kazoo, or we got kazoos like randomly or something. It was my favorite thing in the whole world, the kazoo. Now I want to show you this. I did not get this as a child, and I doubt it will work right now because it doesn't like to work. It's turned off, so there's a chance. Let's see. No, it doesn't want to work. I wish I could play it for you. This is a really cool thing. Like if you've never played with one of these, I think they're called melodicas. And I love playing with this as an adult to test my pitch. But as a kid, if I had had this, I just want to show you this. Like if like because the inner child part, like what I would have done with this as a kid. Oh, I would have loved the heck out of this thing. If you don't know what this is, go look it up on YouTube. And I think they're called melodicas. No, that's melodicas, the piano thing that you blow into. I can't remember. They're on Amazon. I don't remember what they're called, but I got this guy on Amazon. I think his batteries need to be changed or hers. So doing that just like put me in such a good mood. So now I want to tell you a technique someone did with me one time. And this is something I think everybody can do themselves maybe. And after she did it for me, I think I can repeat it and remembering how she did it and do it my own way, which is what she told me to do. So this is one of my fellow readers at Cosmic Connections when I worked there, and she started with a meditation, an inner child, meet your inner child, go meet your inner child and see her and see how she's doing, meditation kind of thing like that. So I can't remember what I was going for the read. I think I just wanted a reading. I don't know if anything was going on that I wanted the reading for. I said I just knew she could move energy. I'd heard. I mean, she told me she moves energy as mainly. She can do readings, of course, stuff like that. But she moves energy as one of her main skills. Cleansing the rooms, people moving energy out of their energy field. And I was like, that's really cool. I've got to experience this. And I liked her a lot. We got along really well. She was cool. And so she put me through this meditation, and the meditation was like I closed my eyes and I was just sitting. I think, did I lie down? I might have lied. I don't know if I was sitting up or lying down. I can't remember, but she walked me through it. And basically, there was I don't remember the exact way she did it because I was really sucked into it. She's really hypnotic when she does it. And I remember I walked out in my imagination. I was walking around a wall, as she had said, or something like that. I came around a wall. And what I saw in my imagination was this like big mountain up this way, and I was coming around this side of it, and there was like a shelf right here. And listeners, if you're not watching, it was kind of like a big mountain with a shelf right in the middle, and it was semicircular shelf, kind of rough, and the shelf was flat where I was. And out from that came a little platform that was probably about maybe 6 feet long and maybe 12 feet long, but it was about 8 feet wide. It wasn't scary, but it was out above a big chasm. And on the other side of the chasm were more of these mountains. And it's all red in the sky and dark. And there was lightning, but you couldn't hear any thunder. You could just hear like nothing. There's nothing. It was a really dead silence. And so that's how my imagination felt during this meditation where I was coming to meet my inner child. Now, I expected like 6-year-old me, a 9-year-old me to pop in. But instead, I came around the corner and she said, ask for your younger self to come. And I saw my 12-year-old self peek around the edge of the other side of the boulder at the end of the cliff edge of the mountain. And I saw me, her, wearing a sweater as what I had taken my seventh grade picture in. And I remember wearing that a lot. And I remember it was something my mom really liked on me, but I didn't really like it. Ooh, it's getting hot in here, guys. It wasn't something I really liked, but she said I looked good in it. So I was like, okay, I'll wear it for my pictures. And she said so. I think I didn't argue. I had no fashion sense. In Catholic school, we wore uniforms. And in seventh grade, I was still at Catholic school. So I wore this, and I don't care what it looked like now. I remember it perfectly. I don't have any judgment about it whatsoever, but I just remember it perfectly. The thing I didn't like about it is it had a collar and a sweater over it, and it would chafe. It's not the way it looked so much. It just didn't fit comfortably. I remember so much. See, look at this. I remember those kind of details about clothes I wore in seventh grade. And so that's why she was wearing it probably, because I remember this one in particular. So she came around. I want to say she right now, because it was very important. At the time, I felt very much like a she over there. She was over there and I'm over here. And I knew her. She had her braces, she had her bangs, and they were, she had her ponytail because she always kept her ponytail. She had tried to get a perm in sixth grade and it didn't take. They did it twice. But what did happen was her roots grew a little bump. So she had a little bump that had to grow out for a really long time. So she wore her hair up, and her hair was up in a half ponytail with her bangs down. And they're trying to curl them, but they never curled because they never kept. So they're all kind of weird. Everybody in the 80s that time were doing the big poofy bangs in the South. And I wanted to do that, but I never could. So her bangs are kind of like that and messy. And she's peeking around, and Lori, she's guiding me through this. She says, "Okay, you go and see her, ask her to come to you." And I did, and she came. And I said, "How are you?" I can't remember the whole conversation, but we did walk out to the edge of the cliff, the edge of that platform area I told you guys about. And we stood out there and we hugged. She told me to hug my inner child or hug her, the child I saw. I wasn't telling her anything I saw. She was just guiding me through. And because there was usually in these guided meditations, when you meet a guide or a spirit or some aspect of yourself or something like that in a meditation in your imagination, you're going to have a period of time where the person guiding the meditation just kind of stops and lets you talk to whatever you're talking to, work through whatever you're working through, imagine whatever you need to imagine. And that's kind of what she did for a while. And this was so long ago. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I felt pretty good. And we got to the root of something that was bothering me with talking to her. And then I hugged her really tight, and like she was still kind of like, I just don't feel good. I'm depressed. And I was like, well, you won't feel that way long. I told her, when you're older, you're going to be a lot happier. You're going to be able to have more ways to pull yourself out of that feeling. And I told her, you understand why you have these feelings and stuff like that. And she didn't really believe me. But afterwards, I felt better. And then my friend, she like said, okay, and then I can't remember how it all played out. I think I was still in the meditation. No, I think I was sitting with her and telling her what I saw. And we were getting to the root of what I saw, like energetically in my body. And then she says to me, now imagine blah, blah, blah. And I can't remember what she told me to imagine, but I closed my eyes and imagined it. And I felt her energetically move this big energy block kind of feeling like it was all in through my energy field and through my body, listeners, through my heart, through my solar plexus, and down through my sacral area, my belly. It felt like a kind of like a, I close my eyes and feel it. It felt like a kind of like a mirage looks, but it was like a rectangle, and it just all moved out with curved sides, and it kind of moved out of me to the left, and I felt it move out of my body field, body field. I don't know, body. And then I felt it move out of my energy field into my energy field outside of my body. And then I felt it move out of my energy field. So if any of you are watching this and you're empaths or you tried doing that or you listen to this again and try it, I just reenacted the feeling of that happening to me. So you might be able to feel that if you go back and listen to this. And while I talked about it, you might be able to feel it. If you're like the way I am is if people show me stuff, usually if at least especially a bunch of times, I'll be able to figure out some way to do it myself or not. I'll be able to figure out something I can or can't do or whatnot, but I can figure it out usually. I haven't been able to move energy like she can, but I can reenact that and I can push it out of my mind. It's always wanting to go to the left for some reason. And I feel like with Reiki habits, you want to pull all the energy out and just kind of get, you feel it. You just, get it out of me. And you throw it out to the universe. So that's what she did, and I felt so good. I felt so good. Why did I need that? What did it do? What's the point of healing the inner child? There's a lot of stuff to heal if you want to. And people have all kinds of misunderstandings, especially about their early childhood and what they heard and learned. I learned that love was transactional, like I had to earn it. Now, that was not taught to me. That's not what my parents taught me, but that's what I learned. I just did. That's what I learned. That's not they ever told me that. They always loved me. They were completely unconditional love. Never have held hardly anything against me in the long run. Nothing against me in the long run, really. They have shown me unconditional love. They're the only ones who have. What the parents are for, right? I guess maybe not. Maybe somebody in the world other than my cats will unconditionally love me again, and maybe I will unconditionally love someone again. I am a romantic and an idealist, and going back into my childhood and thinking about the times when I was really the happiest, like out in the woods and in my freaking room playing with my toys. That was my thing. My toys in my bedroom with my blankie and my, oh, those closets were scary though. You had to be really careful when you open the closets, guys. That's my advice. Be very careful when you open the closets when you're going into inner child healing. Turn the light on. Ask someone to. Ask your younger self to go in there and turn it on herself if she was afraid of the closet. And she'll still do it. She'll be so proud of herself. Stuff like that. You can heal a phobia of being in the dark just with healing inner childs. memories. If you don't have any memories, go to a hypnotist. Find someone who can hypnotize you into, maybe if you want to. It's just an idea that popped into my head. You could see some kind of hypnotherapist who goes into your early childhood memories and brings them back. I'm If you don't have trauma that you remember and you're pretty sure you don't have any that you don't remember and you just don't remember your childhood, I bet you'll find a bunch of things coming up and you'll be like, oh, yeah. So that'd be really cool if you want to try that. And then maybe you'll find some misunderstandings that are applicable to something going on in your relationships, in your job, with your friendships, and even your relationships with your dogs and cats. For real. Goes all the way back to how maybe your parents treated pets, something like that, or felt about pets or didn't. And with that, listeners and watchers, I do love you. I want to let you know to go try one of these things. You should heal your inner child. Why not? What else you got to do? It feels great to revisit it. Even if you had a terrible childhood, you had some moments where you were innocent and sweet and happy, even if you feel like you never did. Some of the worst lives have been that way, but some of the people I've known with some horrible childhood stories they've told me, they're really beautiful people and they did it through inner child healing. And they didn't go out and do the same thing their parents did. They stopped the cycle. That's part of what inner child healing is about, too, stopping cycles in the family. So, you guys, I love you very much. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was a kind of good explanation. I know it wasn't the absolute best. And yeah, I had a good time making it. I like playing with my blankie. And I call it a wooby from now on. Here's my blankie. Here's my blankie. I used to have a scroungy, and I don't want to talk about that. Maybe someday I'll see scroungy again. But you guys have seen Scroungy. I've posted him on Instagram and I've posted him. I've had him in the background in videos. He's an old stuffed dog. Maybe someday. Okay, listeners and watchers, I'm going to go heal that wound. I'm losing my Scroungy. I love you guys. Thank you for always watching and listening. And Everclear, my sponsor, thank you always for sponsoring my podcast. Everclear is an advice app where you can get advice from psychics and empaths so you can get the clarity you need to create a life you deserve. And you deserve it. I deserve it. This Tonberry deserves the life he wants. What do you want, Tonberry? Oh, it's actually kind of sweet. He just wants to be in the cave walking around slowly and no one bother him. Because he can hardly see, man. He's got a lantern in the dark and his eyes are like this. He doesn't even have pupils, man. He can't see. And let's see, Lilith. Lilith, you love the listeners and the watchers. I love you. I love you. I love you, the watchers. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week or tomorrow or whenever we feel like it. Bye.